It's amazing how one simple innocuous decision can turn into a whole vicious debate. I was accused of stealing. When I was searching for music for compilation 293 during the editing process, I was cruising the YouTube audio library like I always do. I came across a song that was catchy and seemed to go well with a few clips. Little did I know my decision to choose that song would lead to quite a battle, and all kinds of accusations from one person. But what is the YouTube audio library? It's a collection of royalty-free music in the public domain for YouTubers to use in their videos without worrying about copyright claims. Anyone can use this music. After publishing Bad Drivers Compilation 293, I began to notice comments with hashtag drumbeats, references to tow trucks, and a YouTuber called GT Ogre. Not recognizing any of these references, I did a search and went to GT Ogre's YouTube channel. I clicked on a video on his page, and sure enough, there was that same song I had used in my video, along with hashtag drumbeats. It was when I started watching his video that I recalled having seen some of his videos sometime in the past. But at the time of choosing music for my video, I didn't make the connection between that song and his videos. I had no idea I'd be in for quite a ride when I published compilation 293. Alright, just a little sidebar here, guys. So after discovering GT Ogre's content, I fell in love with his videos. If you don't know who he is yet, he posts very entertaining videos of drivers getting their cars towed away from spots they weren't allowed to park in, and he edits his videos in a comedic and very creative way. I highly recommend you check out his videos and subscribe. You won't be disappointed. Link in the description. Alright, back to the story. Within a day or two of compilation 293 going public, there it was. The comment that started the whole battle with the critic, 231Mac. He accused me of stealing GT Ogre's drum beats. The problem with his accusation is, it's not stealing when the song is in the public domain and free for anyone to use, along with the hundreds of other songs in the YouTube audio library. And stealing requires intent. There was no intent to steal anything. But 231Mac doesn't see it that way. He goes on to tell me that GT Ogre has essentially claimed the song, based on the fact that he uses it often during every video and that it signifies the arrival of a tow truck. The problem with that reasoning is that the song has been used often by other famous YouTubers and has been featured in TV commercials, and according to another source, was a theme song for the Dallas Zambonis. So if 231Mac is going to be outraged over my having used that song, then it's only logical that he should be outraged with everyone else who has used that song, since the first person ever used it. However, any outrage over using it doesn't make sense anyway. Besides, how can I know if a song I've chosen has been possibly used by other famous YouTubers at some point without doing hours of research on each song? The answer is, you can't. The next part of his argument is that everyone identifies it to his videos. Well, that's far from an accurate statement as well. Nobody, or very close to nobody, who watches YouTube videos is aware of every single famous YouTuber that exists. Believe it or not, there are people who don't even know who Logan Paul is. I'm not even kidding. But there are other people who associate the drumbeat song with other YouTubers or TV productions. The famous YouTubers Grace Helbig and Hannah Hart have used the song Monkeys Spinning Monkeys for years. And a lot of people associate that song with their videos and style. But then, that song is and has been used by countless other YouTubers as well, to where their fans associate that song to their styles and brands. So his argument fails on that front too. In his next major logical failure, he compares using the song to sitting in a cafeteria at school where people claim seats. There are many reasons why that's a false analogy. Copyright law and use licensing dictate who is entitled to use which songs. Seats in a cafeteria have no such laws or licensing to provide legal claims over who can sit in what seat. Songs can have infinite copies that any number of people can theoretically use, but one seat can only fit one butt at a time. And whatever etiquette and rules govern seating at the school cafeteria are totally irrelevant to music. Unfortunately, all of these rebuttals failed to get him to see the fact that his arguments are built on faulty premises. He goes right back to showing illusions of moral superiority by once again bringing up ethics and accusing me of copying GT Ogre's act. Well, just using a particular song in and of itself does not constitute an entire act or an overall style. So once again, his accusation fails. The real insanity begins to show when he says, quote unquote, copies his act and then pretends he came up with it. It's complete nonsense because at what point in my video did I ever try to represent his act as my own? His assertion is completely asinine. At this point, my viewers started chiming in. 231Mac's response to them was baffling. Then his next comment to me, things get even more interesting. I had mentioned in a different comment thread having seen a few of GT Ogre's videos in the past, but I hadn't felt it relevant to mention that fact in this comment thread. So he jumps to the false conclusion that I must have necessarily made the connection in my mind with that song to his videos at the time of choosing the song for my video. That right there is what's called confirmation bias. As another commenter pointed out, he already had his mind made up when he started this argument. He had a predetermined narrative. He'll look for anything he can to fit his narrative. The fact that I had come across GT Ogre's videos in the past was the confirmation bias he needed to then jump to the false conclusion that I must have known at the time that that song was tied to his videos, because it fits his already decided narrative. He thinks I denied ever having come across GT Ogre's videos, which of course I never denied any such thing. He continues to make ridiculous asinine comparisons by comparing YouTube commenters to customers, saying that running a comment section falls under the principles of basic business management, where it's a rule that you're not supposed to engage commenters. That's one of the strangest things I've ever heard. He goes on to insult my viewers, no surprise there given his attitude. Now he backtracks. Remember, he started out with everybody knows GT Ogre's content, to now fairly well known and recognized, and once again accuses me of jumping on a bandwagon. Here, he actually admits to one of my viewers that his accusations against me are speculation, but quickly changes that to accurate speculation. This guy's all over the place, but he backtracks more. Here, he admits that the song is public domain, but says using the song was a dick move. That goes right back to his flawed logic. If it's public domain, anyone can use it and people will continue to use it, regardless of who used it before them. If my using the song was a dick move, then every single YouTuber who's ever used a song that's been used before is guilty of dick moves too. But we all know that's not a logical premise because of public domain as it applies to music. Then he displays more confirmation bias when he accuses me of editing out a lie. You will notice that almost all of my comments on this thread show edited. This is because when posting multiple blocks of text, YouTube inserts extra spaces between blocks, and for some reason that bothers me, so I always have to go back and edit out the spaces, along with sometimes forgetting to dot my I's and cross my T's, so to speak. Fortunately, I had witnesses to debunk his claim that I edited anything out of my comments, but even those witnesses backing me up weren't enough to change his mind. Instead, he kept going with all the accusations all the way through this long argument, despite evidence for the contrary. Then he gives me a nickname, Stickers, because he says I'm like that quote-unquote kid that couldn't solve a Rubik's Cube with his own skill, so he took off all the stickers and sloppily placed them back on and tried to pass it off as his own work, and calls my fans Mongoloid groupies. Then GT Ogre came into the thread and voiced his position, where he says he doesn't mind when someone uses the drum beat song. What he has a problem with, and rightfully so, are people who rip off his videos altogether and try to profit from it, but says that people simply choosing the same music from the YouTube audio library is not a problem at all. So basically, I did nothing wrong. But 231Mac's response to GT Ogre was bizarre. It's as if he didn't read or comprehend what GT Ogre actually wrote. 231Mac makes yet another flawed comparison and misrepresents his actual position. As this argument drags on, he continues to reprimand me for using the song in my video, despite that GT Ogre made it quite clear that there was no problem with that. And in his long, continued rants, still accuses me of, quote-unquote, lying, cheating, stealing, rallying support for a false cause, yada yada yada. 231Mac is very angry, and according to him, he wins, no matter what. This commenter here sums up 231Mac quite well. In 231Mac's next comment, he says GT Ogre's response was great and still doesn't excuse my shit behavior. Well, he clearly didn't read or understand GTOgre's response. More viewers respond, but met with more attacks from 231Mac. And the cycle continues with the same old debunked accusations, arguing in circles, and more nonsense from 231Mac. The whole point here is, copyright laws and music licensing are there to prevent these kinds of battles. None of his arguments have a leg to stand on. If you like a song in the YouTube audio library, use it. You shouldn't have to research every song in the public domain to make sure nobody else famous has used it. It's not practical, and there's no ethical basis for doing that. That's why we have the YouTube audio library to begin with, to provide content creators with music without copyright worries. Alright, thank you for watching. Well, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And be sure to stay tuned for more exciting content.